Markey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, President Trump is claiming that North Korea is, quote, no longer a nuclear threat, and we do know that is absolutely not true. We have yet to see any tangible progress towards denuclearization. And I know that it's clear to everyone that North Korea's dismantling of an outdated missile test facility, as well as a previously dismantled ICBM assembly building, which can be rebuilt within 3 days, are empty gestures and not indicative that North Korea has changed its tune. They are continuing to use the Kim family playbook, going back to his grandfather, where they front-load rewards to themselves while exploiting ambiguity and delaying real concessions to the United States and to the West. We do not have nuclear inspectors yet on the ground in North Korea. Is that correct, Mr. Secretary?
That is correct.
North Korea continues to produce fissile material, nuclear bomb material. Is that correct?
Senator, I'm trying to make sure I stay on the correct. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure I don't cross into classified information. I'm not trying to hesitate. Yes, they continue to produce fissile material.
Yeah. So North Korea is continuing on both of those fronts. Is North Korea continuing to pursue submarine-launched ballistic missiles?
I can't answer that for you here in this.
You cannot answer that?
No, Senator.
Well, I look forward to your providing that in a classified setting so that the members of this committee and ultimately the American people can know what is happening. I think it's pretty clear they are, but I will move on. Has North Korea committed to you that it will destroy its chemical weapons stockpiles?
The North Koreans understand precisely our definition of denuclearization and have agreed to denuclearize.
Have they committed to destroying chemical weapons stockpiles?
Or we've talked about CBW, their CBW programs as being part of that denuclearization, and as I said, they have indicated that they fully understand the scope of what denuclearization entails.
Okay. Have they committed to destroying their biological weapons?
In the same way I just described, Senator.
They have committed?
Senator, what I said is as follows. We have made very clear that the entirety of the North Korean CBW program is contained in the U.S. understanding of denuclearization, and I am confident that the North Koreans understand clearly America's definition, and they have agreed to denuclearize.
Okay. Does the United States have an inventory of North Korea's warheads, materials, facilities, and other programs?
Senator, I can't answer that here.
Has North Korea committed to halting its human rights abuses?
Senator, their human rights abuses continue today. If I may say, with respect to each of these questions, each of the activities that you have described was taking place on January 19th, 2017, and we are working to stop them in ways that were not being undertaken prior to the time the Trump administration took office. There were full-on trade with North Korea.
And I appreciate all that. I guess what I'm saying is I
just think
that.
I think it's important to understand the progress that we've made and the efforts and the modalities we're using to stop the activity that had gone on for decades.
I'm just going back to the statement made by President Trump that North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat, and I'm just trying to determine what that means.
May I help? I'm happy to help. I'm happy to try and articulate what I think
is there any verifiable evidence of progress towards denuclearization?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What is verifiable?
We are sitting at the table having conversations. We have had lots of discussions that I'm not going to get in here to today. But I would tell you that you discounted the destruction of the missile engine test facility. That missile engine test facility was functional, viable, and operational and in use in January of 2017, before this administration took office.
Well, I guess you and I interpret that gesture differently.
Senator, I've made no interpretation.
In terms of verifiable progress, I'm talking about not trusting Kim Jong-un without verifying North Korea's actions. So that's really what the discussion's about. What has been verified? I understand that you're talking, but
Yeah.
here's what I also understand, that the United States has unexpectedly suspended military exercises with South Korea, that North Korea hasn't started returning American war dead despite the President's announcement that the returns had already taken place. China and Russia continue to export oil to North Korea in violation of the UN resolutions and U.S.
Sanctions that didn't exist before this regime took office.
And North Korea still has chemical and biological weapons and brutalizes its own people. And again, there's no verifiable evidence that North Korea is denuclearization.
Senator, we have-
Denuclearizing. So I am afraid that at this point, the United States, the Trump administration, is being taken for a ride.
Fear not, Senator, fear not.
There's no evidence to the contrary.
Fear not, Senator.
There's no evidence.
Senator, fear not. May I?
Yes, please.
I guess you didn't ask a question, so I'll.
No, that's all right. Yeah, you can please answer.
Fear not. This administration has taken enormously constructive actions that have put us in a place that is far better than in either of the two previous administrations, one Republican, one Democrat. We have put sanctions regime in place that is unequaled. We are continuing to enforce that sanctions regime. We've made incredibly clear that we will continue to enforce that sanctions regime until such time as denuclearization, as we've defined it, is complete. Pressure on the regime is clearly being felt. We have lots of work to do. But unlike previous administrations, Senator, we have no intention of allowing the UN sanctions, the world's sanctions, that we led the charge to have put in place, to allowing those sanctions to either be lifted or not enforced. And until such time as Chairman Kim fulfills the commitment he made, which I am incredibly hopeful that he will, those sanctions will remain. We have not been taken for a ride, Senator.
We're going to disagree
I hope you
on
can
that
sleep a little bit
interpretation.
better tonight.
One quick issue, which is something I know you're familiar with, is the State Department export controls that are designed to help ensure that weapons don't get into the wrong hands abroad. So I want to bring to your attention a special exemption from those export control rules that the State Department plans to use to issue this Friday. It will allow blueprints for downloadable guns to be published online and acceptable worldwide. I don't think that we really want to be in a world where Hamas in the Gaza has an ability to download a capacity for an AR-15 that could endanger security in that region, and the same thing could happen around the world. I asked the State Department to please reconsider this decision. I think it has long-term national security and domestic security considerations for our country.
You have my commitment. I'll take a look at it.
Okay,
Senator Paul.